The Structural Pest Control Board. Today is Tuesday, October 16th. If we could start out with the roll call, please, Susan?
Laverne. Here. Curtis Good.
Here.
Dave Smile.
Here.
Aaron Van Steenwyk.
Present.
And Mike Grant.
Present.
The record will show we have 5 board members that does constitute a quorum.
Excellent. So if you could all join me in the flag salute, please.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, is there any comment, any public comment for an item not on the agenda today? Okay, hearing none, I will pass the meeting over to the administrative law judge.
Testing, is the microphone? Thank you. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We're on the record before the Structural Pest Control Board, Department of Consumer Affairs, State of California, and we're here today in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of revoked operator license number OPR 9978 that was filed by Gary Castro Gaviola, petitioner. This is agency case 2017-55, Office of Administrative Hearings case 2018-090582. Today is Tuesday, October 16th, 2018. It's approximately noon. My name is Marilyn Woolard. I'm the administrative law judge from the Office of Administrative Hearings, and I'm here to help facilitate the matter for the board. And I'd ask the board members to please identify themselves for the record, starting on my right with Mr. Duran.
Mike Duran.
Darren Van Steenwyk.
Dave Tamayo.
Curtis Good.
Ronna Brand.
Thank you, and we do have a quorum present today. May I have the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General?
Yes, Your Honor. Tim McDonough, Deputy Attorney General, appearing here on behalf of the people of the state of California pursuant to Government Code 11522.
Thank you. And Mr. Gaviola, you're here today and you're representing yourself, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
And you do understand you do have a right to be represented by counsel at your own expense?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. So in this proceeding, the board is concerned about your rehabilitation efforts since your license was revoked. And I would just remind you that this is not the forum in which to challenge the merits of any of your criminal convictions or to challenge the findings and conclusions of the decision that revoked your license, the default decision, which is a final decision. So the focus should be on your rehabilitation efforts since the decision.
Yes, ma'am.
The Deputy Attorney General will begin by providing us with an orientation and overview in this matter. After that, you will have a right to make a presentation. I'll place you under oath and you'll be able to testify to the board and explain why you believe your petition should be granted. The board may ask you some questions, as may the Deputy Attorney General.
Yes, ma'am.
And you also may have the right to call any additional witnesses. Did you bring any additional witnesses with you today?
No, ma'am, but I have my wife with me.
All right, thank you. And you did provide us with some additional documents, which we have copied and provided to the board members.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. At the conclusion of this process, the board, and we have 2 petition hearings today, the board will go into a closed session to deliberate on your petition. So you're not going to receive a decision in this matter today.
Okay.
All right. Do you have any questions about how we're going to proceed?
No.
All right, thank you. Mr. McDonough, would you care to begin with your orientation, your overview of the matter?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I would first like to mark for identification offering to evidence as Exhibit 1, the original petition packet with accompanying documents. The board members and petitioner has been provided with a copy of the same set of this exhibit, and I'll pass you the original and ask that it marked as Exhibit 1, and I'll give a brief explanation of the documents provided in that.
All right. And Mr. Gabriel, you've reviewed the documents in the petition package?
Yes, ma'am.
Any objection to their admission?
No.
All right. Exhibit 1 is submitted, and if you would review that, that'd be appreciated.
Great. Your Honor, the Exhibit 1 in the original petition packet contains initially correspondence between the board and the petitioner regarding today's hearing date, which included the guidelines for petitions for reinstatement and reductions of penalties. It also includes, obviously, the petition for reinstatement of revoked operator's license number OPR 9978, submitted by petitioner, and that's signed on July 11, 2018. There's also the petition for reinstatement of revoked license declaration. That is signed by the petitioner as well. I would point out in this document that petitioner discloses that he is currently on criminal parole or probation. And he further discloses that on February 16, 2017, he was convicted of 1 felony count of vandalism and 1 misdemeanor count of driving while intoxicated, and that he was placed on 3 years of formal probation. There is a request for live scan service for petitioner that was completed. And then, Your Honor, there is the letter and default decision order from case number 2017-55 regarding the accusation against Gary Castro Gaviola and his company, Environmental Pest Control. That has an effective date of August 23rd, 2017. Also included in those documents is the accusation itself, accusation number 2017-55, and the decision from the default decision to revoke petitioner's operator's license and company registration. I would note that in those documents there is included a letter from petitioner asking that the board vacate the default decision and order revoking his license. He contends in that letter that he was likely that he was not able to receive the content of the default as he was, quote, more likely incarcerated due to depression and bipolar breakdown. There is a certification of prosecution costs regarding the enforcement of the accusation in the amount of $1,650. There are also Las Vegas municipal court documents regarding criminal case number C-1090938A, which shows petitioner was convicted on or about July 16th, 2013, and this conviction was not listed as a cause for discipline in accusation number 2017-55. There is also Los Angeles Superior Court documents from criminal case number 7GD00329, which show that petitioner was convicted on or about March 20th of 2017 of violating Penal Code Section 171B, subdivision A6, specifically for bringing a BB gun into a public building, which I believe was a DMV. This conviction was not listed as a cause for discipline in accusation number 2017-55. The packet also contains the license history for Avert Environmental Pest Control, which was originally issued on March 30th, 1999 in Branch 2. There is a license history for petitioner's operator's license number OPR 9978, which was originally issued in Branch 2 to petitioner on January 20th, 1999. There is also a license history for petitioner's field representative license, which ultimately was canceled due to the issuance of the Branch 2 operator's license. And there is also a license history for petitioner's applicator's license, which was initially issued in Branch 2 on August 20th, 1990, and that was canceled in 1991 due to the issuance of a Branch 2 field representative license. Your Honor, that's an explanation of the documents in Exhibit 1, and I would now like to proceed with a summary of the case.
All right, thank you.
The board issued petitioner's operator's license number OPR 9978 in branch 2 on January 20th, 1999. On March 29th, 2017, accusation number 2017-55 was filed against petitioner's operator's license number OPR 9978 and his company registration number PR 3432. Accusation number 2017-55 alleged 9 causes for discipline. The first cause for discipline alleges a misrepresentation of a material fact, violation of Business and Professions Code, section 8637. And that cause for discipline alleges that petitioner misrepresented material facts in his applications relating to obtaining his operator's license and company registration by failing to include various criminal convictions against him. Causes for discipline 2 through 9 alleges that petitioner was convicted of crimes substantially related to the qualifications, functions, and duties of a licensee, violation of Business and Profession Code, section 490, section 8649, and also California Code of Regulations, Title 16, section 1937.1. With regards to the misrepresentations, on or about December 30th, 1998, petitioner attested to the truthfulness of all his statements in his application for an operator's license. However, he failed to disclose his October 21st, 1998 conviction. On or about February 26, 1999, again under penalty of perjury, petitioner failed on his application for registration of his company to disclose his October 21st, 1998 conviction. It should be noted that effective July 1st, 2004, Code Section 144 was amended so that all new licensees or licensees upgrading their license with the board were required to be fingerprinted. Prior to July 1st, 2004, applications were fingerprinted, or applicants were fingerprinted only if they answered yes on the application regarding being convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor. Further, effective on February 29th of 2016, California Code of Regulations, Title 16, Section 1960, required applicants for renewal of license who have never submitted their fingerprints to complete the live scan process for the purpose of conducting a criminal history check. On or about September 22nd, 2016, under the penalty of perjury, attesting to the truthfulness of all statements in his application for registration of a company as a qualifying manager for Spectrum Environmental Pest Management, respondent failed to disclose his July 12th, 2012 conviction, his December 27th, 2012 conviction, his June 4th, 2013 conviction, and his August 13th, 2013 conviction. Obviously, in order to renew his licenses in 2016, petitioner completed the live scan fingerprinting process. The accusation alleges essentially the following convictions. On February 16th, 2017, respondent was convicted of 1 felony count violating Penal Code Section 594, Subdivision A, vandalism, 1 misdemeanor count of violating Vehicle Code Section 23152, Subdivision B, driving while having a blood alcohol content of 0.08% or higher, and Section 2354, prior conviction of violating Vehicle Code Section 23152. That was a case out of Los Angeles Superior Court. And on that date, on March 2nd, 2007, the court sentenced respondent to 90 days in jail and placed on probation for 3 years, ordered to take a drug and alcohol treatment and rehabilitation, and ordered to make restitution. The accusation also points out on January 27th, 2017, respondent was convicted of 1 misdemeanor count of violating Penal Code 242, battery, in the criminal proceeding out of the Superior Court of Los Angeles County. The court sentenced respondent to 48 days in jail, placed him on 36 months probation, ordered him to stay away from the victim and location of the arrest, as well as paying restitution. I would point out that the circumstances surrounding that conviction involved a battery upon the roommate of his ex-wife. Your Honor, the accusation also points out that on January 17th, 2017, respondent was convicted of one misdemeanor count of violating Vehicle Code Section 23152, Subdivision B, driving while having a blood alcohol concentration of 0.08% or higher. Again, that was out of LA County Superior Court. And the court sentenced respondent to 36 months probation, as well as ordered to complete a 3-month driving under the influence program. Your Honor, the accusation points out on August 13th, 2013, respondent was convicted of one felony count of violating Penal Code Section 220, Subdivision A1, assault with intent to commit a mayhem, and a felony count of violating Penal Code Section 245, Subdivision A1, assault with a deadly weapon in the criminal proceeding out of the Los Angeles County Superior Court. The court placed respondent on 3 years formal probation in order to complete a 365 days dual diagnosis residential program and pay fines. Your Honor, on or about June 4, 2013, respondent was convicted of one misdemeanor count of violating Section 1460.1 Subdivision A, driving while license suspended, out of Los Angeles County Superior Court. The court sentenced respondent to 120 days in jail and denied probation. Your Honor, the accusation also points out on or about December 27, 2012, petitioner, was convicted of one misdemeanor count of violating Penal Code Section 594, Subdivision A, vandalism, in a case out of LA County Superior Court, Los Angeles County Superior Court. Your Honor, the accusation also points out a conviction on July 12, 2012. A petitioner was convicted of one misdemeanor count of violating Penal Code Section 273.5, Subdivision A, inflicting corporal injury to a spouse or cohabitant in a case out of Los Angeles County. He was sentenced to 90 days in jail and placed on 36 months probation in order to complete a 52-week domestic violence counseling program. During that case, the petitioner was found to have violated his probation on 2 occasions. Your Honor, the accusation also points out on or about October 21st, 1998, petitioner was convicted of one misdemeanor count of violating Penal Code Section 273.5, Subdivision A, inflicting corporal injury to a spouse or cohabitant in a criminal case out of Los Angeles County Superior Court. The court sentenced petitioner to 12 days in jail and 3 years probation. On August 23, 2017, the default decision and order rendered for accusation number 2017-55 revoked petitioner's operator's license number 9978 and company registration number 3432. The decision also ordered that petitioner pay the board's cost of the investigation and prosecution of the matter in the amount of $1,650. Your Honor, this concludes my presentation of documentary evidence and case history. I'm prepared to proceed with questions for the petitioner at your discretion.
All right, and before we do that, let's just acknowledge that off the record, Mr. Matana, you and I had a conversation with Mr. Gaviola, and Mr. Gaviola provided us some new documents
Yes.
today, which we've had copied. All the board members do have copies of that, and we're marking out collectively for identification as Exhibit 2.
May I just raise one point?
Yes.
One question? I know that looking through these documents, they do contain medical information and other information, and I just wanted to make sure that the petitioner was aware of, and it was acceptable for him knowing that these were being made public, essentially.
Well, one of the things that we can do, because it does include some information regarding treatment for mental health conditions, is we can place Exhibit number 2 under a protective order, which would certainly preserve your confidentiality rights
Yes.
and would make
Thank you.
the document available to the board members for their consideration.
Okay.
Is that acceptable?
That's acceptable to me.
And no objection?
No objection.
All right, so I will place Exhibit number 2 under a protective order. And Mr. McDonough, could I ask you, in your questioning of the petitioner, if you'd actually go through these documents, because they are new, and just have him explain briefly what they are,
Sure.
to orient the board members.
In Exhibit 2, the documents. Okay.
Okay, and you can proceed at this time.
Okay. Mr. Gaviola, the first document that's submitted is a June 29th, 2017 letter from the Department of Veteran Affairs, the Greater Los Angeles Healthcare System. And did you want to explain what this document is?
Yes, it's just mainly saying that I've gone through some mental issues that was...
I'm sorry to interrupt you, I apologize. Before we begin the question, I would like to swear in the petitioner. Sir, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth and the whole truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You can begin your question.
Okay, should I begin again?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
The first document in Exhibit 2 is a June 29th, 2017 letter from the Department of Veteran Affairs of the Greater Los Angeles Healthcare System. Mr. Gaviola, what does this document indicate?
There was a lot of times where I ended up on the streets. Every time me and my better half would argue, and I did not know how to take my depression. I thought it was just normal that for me to leave the home and just stay out on the streets, because there's just, there's no fixing, always what I thought is there was no fixing the relationship. And every time I end up on the street, I end up getting in trouble because I'm not really used to being on the streets, and for a while I did not know where to turn to, and I did not know that what according to the VA would stem from maybe what I'm going through every time I do that is from PTSD. So they actually certified me as having PTSD. So I've gone through VA. I've been going through the VA to get all my medical and issues corrected.
The next document, Mr. Gaviola, is a March 15th, 2018 letter from the Department of Veteran Affairs from the Greater Los Angeles Healthcare System. Do you want to just briefly describe what that document is?
Yes, I actually signed up for a class that I take to help me curb my alcoholism and drug abuse. When I say drug abuse, I never took any hard drugs or anything like that, but I did smoke marijuana. So, and it affected my mental state. And so with with me signing up for classes, I also signed up for anger management classes to help me possibly take care of some anger issues and know how to proceed with living and not knowing how to get past being mad, and we're causing a bigger issue than just the smaller issues. So I learned how to, I basically go to a weekly class to learn about that.
The next document in Exhibit 2 is a letter from October 4th, 2018, and that is from the Department of Veteran Affairs, again, the Los Angeles VA healthcare system, and that...
Again, it's just the same type of memo. It shows what I've learned, what I'm going through, and how many sessions I've attended, and what kind of stuff I'm learning when it comes to my underlying problems of alcoholism and anger management.
And the next document, which for the board members is on the back side of that letter, appears to be a July 13th, 2018 letter from Elena Shabash, Shabash.
Yes,
MD psychiatrist.
this one is, she's a psychiatrist from the VA, and I've been going to a one-on-one relationship with her, so I'll be able to learn how to cope with my emotional breakdowns better. And basically that's what it is. We meet on a monthly basis, and she asks currently how I'm doing and how everything is. And most of the times I know it looks bad that I was out on the streets, but everything that happened to me happened in like a wave of maybe a matter of couple months, because I was on the streets, and it never did affect my work. I've run my pest control business since 1998, and throughout the 15 years that I ran it, I never had problems with my customers where they had to fear for their safety or anything like that. It's just I dropped out from working, and none of them, they actually would be looking for me in regards to getting some of their work done, because they trusted me so much because I was always hands-on doing their pest control. But they never felt fear or any type like that. It never affected my work, and with this paper, and when it comes to this paper, again, it's just being under a psychiatric care just to find out about any other emotional issue that I might be having.
Okay. The next document is again a letter from the Department of Veteran Affairs, the Los Angeles healthcare system, and specifically from the same psychiatrist. It's
Yes,
dated
ma'am. Yes, sir.
28/18.
Yes, sir. It's the same exact one. I've been going for about a year now, and I just brought in 3 months worth of paper to show the board that I've been, having formal psychiatry to help me rehabilitate from, the current problems that I might be having.
Okay. And the next document is dated September 26, 2018, again from the Los Angeles healthcare system, the Department of Veteran Affairs. And that document...
The document is the same thing as the previous document, sir.
Okay. And the next document appears to be dated June 9, 2017, and it's entitled, that it's from the Safety Education Center Incorporated, and indicates that it's a notification of enrollment. Do you want to describe that document?
Yes, sir. This document shows that I've enrolled in since I've gotten a couple of DUIs back to back, which is not normal for anybody to do, you have to really be, out of your mind or out of your whole being to get 2 back-to-back DUIs. But again, I was on the streets back then, and I was, it didn't have anything to do with my work or my operations as an exterminator or as an owner of a pest control company. But it shows that I've applied, and I'm actually going through 18 months of classes for my DUIs to satisfy the court.
Mr. Gaviolo, the next document appears to be from that same.
Yes, sir. That just shows the application that I am fulfilling my duty for 18 months of classes.
Okay. And turning to a document from the Safety Education Center that indicates an intake date of June 9, 2017. And that appears to be 2 pages.
Yeah, it just shows all the classes that I've been taking on a weekly basis. And I'm actually almost finished with my classes, which is December would be completion date.
Turning to the next document, it is a custody and control form. Do you want to explain that one?
Yes, these are actually the next 3 pages. They're custody and control form. With this problems that me and my better half had, we, throughout the course of what happened to me, we did lose our children to the Department of Children and Family Services. So I needed to do drug and alcohol testing on a weekly basis for a whole year. So it just shows the court and the board that I've been trying to keep myself clean, not just because I need to, but I do need to. That's why I brought out the papers showing that I've been clean, and I'm up to a sober living and just ready to go back to work.
And you mentioned that was the 3 pages.
Just 3 pages coming up.
Right, okay. And then looking at the next document from the Filipino International Christian Church dated December 20th, 2017. It looks like it's from a Pastor Andrew Affable.
Yes, sir. I try to get closer to maybe, I never really thought God was missing, but instead of going to a Catholic church, one day a friend asked me to go to a Christian church, and it seemed like a good idea. And from then on, I've just been avid fan of going to church and including that in our daily lives.
There's also a certificate of completion that was awarded to you, it looks like on October 13th, 2014. Can you explain that?
Yeah, this is for, it's basically anger management too, back in 2014, because me and my wife had our troubles then too, and it was probably listed as one of the classes I had to take to complete to satisfy the court then. So I did bring the certificate that shows that I completed domestic violence class back in 2014.
And finally, the last page I have in Exhibit 2 is from the Center for the Study and Treatment of Domestic Violence. It is dated January 26, 2018. Do you want to explain that document?
Yeah, this is one of my anger management progress report from the Department of Veterans Affairs, showing that I am going to anger management class, although they're in hiatus right now because there was some internal problem with the classes, and so far they don't know if they're going to continue doing it.
So that concludes the documents in Exhibit 2. Any objection to their consideration?
None, Your Honor.
All right, 2 is admitted. And at this point, I'd like to interrupt your questioning. This is a somewhat unusual process because these were new documents not available prior to today, and I think this has given the board members an opportunity to get a flavor of those documents. So what I'd like to do now is turn to the petitioner and give you an opportunity to directly address the board about your petition and what you believe you have accomplished and why you believe your petition should be granted. Then when you feel like you've said what you'd like to say, Mr. McDonough can go back and have questions on the substance of that, and the board members may have some questions.
Okay.
All right, so this is your opportunity.
Yes, I just want to tell the board that I've been licensed since 1998, and I might have made a wrong decision. I wasn't too sure when I first filled out the information on what the misdemeanor was or felony, so I might have just, with honesty, I probably put yes, I know as in if I committed any crime just to get in. I didn't do it purposely to get my license, and it shows after I live scanned that I did have misdemeanor back then. But I've been running my business for over 15 years, and I'm a great exterminator. I know it's my livelihood. It's the only thing I know how to do. And I've been hands-on. I did not have a big company or anything like that. But whatever happened with my personal life, it remained personal. It didn't affect my job. It didn't affect my work. It didn't affect the way I treated my customers. I wish I would have handled it different, but after, meetings and that I've had with the VA, it did show, they did admit that I have PTSD because I had served in the military, and before I left, I had problems. I actually got out of the military, honorable discharge under mental conditions. So it did show that I had a PTSD problem because we were going to war already back when I left, and I had some sort of a problem. I had told my actual shipmate that I had 4.0, I was a 4.0 slave sailor throughout my whole career as a military. And I was really close to the commander of the ship, and I ended up with a ship that was going to war, but there was no brotherhood in the ship, so I kept telling the captain that, I didn't want to sail with the ship because there's no brotherhood, and I don't think we're gonna make it, if we go to war with this crew. And he actually wanted to know if there's something he can do. I said, there's nothing, I don't know if the XO, even the XO was really, he wasn't a good XO when it comes to executive officer, which was the mothers of the ship. He wasn't a good person when it came to commanding the crew. So I ended up in the hospital fighting for the fact that it can't, sail. I can't sail with the ship being like that, and they did let me out under mental condition. And lo and behold, when the ship went to war, they backed up into a mine the very first week they were in when it was actually the Schwarzkopf War. So in Iraq, they backed up into a mine and it blew a hole. USS Princeton blew a hole where I was sleeping. So call it premonition or what, it did affect me because a couple of the friends that I had got hurt. So from then on, I've had a lot of every run-in that I have with the law. The VA was always notified. I don't go to normal hospitals. I go to the VA hospitals and get locked up, There's a few times I was locked up in jail, but most of the time I'm actually locked up in the psychiatric hospital. Again, it doesn't affect my work as an exterminator. It's just when I'm out there doing my job, I'm safe with everything. It's just things happen in my marriages that I didn't know how to handle. But when it comes to work, I have a straight, long relationship with the board, the Structural Pest Control Board. That maybe I was late on a few of my reports, but when it comes to actually being safe, being out there on the job, I've always been a good exterminator, I would say.
So at this time, would you feel comfortable, have you said what you'd like to say? Should we turn this over for some questions?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Mr. McDonough?
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Gaviola, are you clean and sober today?
Yes, sir. I've been sober for a year, since 4th of July last year.
Since July 4th?
4th of July last year.
And you're currently on probation?
Yes, sir. I'm on probation now.
Okay, and are you compliant with the terms of your probation?
Yes, sir, I am.
In your July 30th, 2017 letter that you sent to the board asking that the default be vacated, you indicated that you had problems in your marriage which have caused both you and your wife to find yourselves in trouble with the law. You then stated, and I'm quoting, "In most cases, the allegations that has landed me in trouble are one-sided, and I haven't or wasn't able to tell my side of the story, as I usually pled no contest." What did you mean by that statement, and are you suggesting that some of the crimes you were charged with were not your fault?
Yeah, particularly there was just one, which was the part where the ex-roommate or my wife's, where he said that I was trying to stab him or anything like that. I did not do that. He actually was the one inside the house that was, he started the whole thing. And it's just, I was the one that was looking like the bad guy, so I ended up, but it's really only the actual instance that I was talking about. But most of them, unfortunately, they all happen.
You indicated in your petition for reinstatement that you have no employment history over the past 5 years. Have you not worked in the last 5 years?
No, I haven't worked in the last 5 years, sir.
And how have you been supporting yourself?
I've been lucky with my brother. We have a very tight family. My brother is a doctor, and he's been able to help us, me and my whole family, with everything. Also, with everything that arises with the military, when they did realize that I have PTSD, they were able to supplement me with a small income right now. And again, with the help of my brother, I've been able to. It hasn't been 5 years, it's only been a year since I've been out of pest control. So I was really hoping, I've done everything, and I prayed hard enough to hopefully get my livelihood back. But I know how it is. People call, my phone is ringing right now as a matter of fact, but people call for me to do their services, but I told them I don't have a license and I can't proceed and do any pest control service until I'm licensed. So I did not go out there and actually perform any work, without a license.
Okay. If your license were reinstated through this process, what would do you have any plans on where you will work or how you do utilize your license?
Yes, sir. I will be doing branch 2 work again like I did, and I will work in the same area where I've always worked, which is the Los Angeles County area.
And is there a company that you would work for, that you know?
I'm hoping to get my operator license back because I don't think any company would hire me as a field rep license because of my driving record. I do have 2 DUIs, and I mean, you can just see my record. It's nothing short of clean. So, but as an operator, which I've always been, I'm able to do and make decisions for my own good, basically.
So if your license was reinstated, you likely would be working kind of for yourself and not really supervised by anyone. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I will be working by myself again. And that means I will be supervised by the board, basically, but not by another person or entity.
With regards to your various health issues and your substance abuse problems, do you have currently a support system in place should you find yourself in need?
Yes, sir. That's with the my psychiatrist at the VA. Everything is open for us. I'm not the only one that's having same issue, so it's always open. The VA is always open to us veterans now on any kind of issue or any support system is in place for us. So with those issues that I had, I know they sound pretty bad, but I have a straight mind. I mean, they call it bipolar, but most people that are bipolar, that I wouldn't be able to pass on my business for 15 years if I wasn't capable of running it. Most problems that were happening, they happened throughout the whole 15 years. But then again, I was always able to pick up my business from where I left off and start over again. But I will have a support system with the VA. So.
Recently, have you attended any training or classes, say continuing education classes in the structural pest control field?
No, not yet, sir. I renewed my license back in, I don't think it's due for renewal until the 2019. So I haven't done any classes or anything like that. When I renew my class, that's usually when I take the my classes. I mean, when I renew my license, that's usually when I take the time to take the appropriate classes.
However, having not worked in the field for at least a year, do you feel confident in your knowledge of kind of the current structural pest control regulations and procedures?
It looks like there's, I was handed today a new, quite a few changes in the Structural Pest Control Board amendments. I probably have to, I'm sure I'll read those to make sure that I'm up to date with the amendments. But when it comes to the job, I've always been hands-on, so I usually do, and I'm very good at rodent work, which is mostly repair work and stuff like that. So There hasn't been a lot of changes when it comes to actually applying the material. There's probably changes in the the materials that are being applied, but when it comes to the actual job, there hasn't been much difference.
As part of the default decision and order in the disciplinary case against you, the order finds that you should pay the board $1,650 towards the cost recovery for the enforcement of the matter. I assume you haven't paid that.
No, sir, I haven't paid that.
Is that something that you could pay should your license be reinstated?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's something I knew I had to pay something. It's when I first read the thing, it's just I didn't know when to pay it and when the actual money was due for me to pay.
Mr. Gavioli, would you be willing, if your petition for reinstatement is granted, to take the current examination for an operator's license and pass the exam as a condition before returning to the practice of structural pest control?
Yes, sir. If the board needs me to come down to going ahead and taking the test again, I'll be willing to take it.
Mr. Gavioli, the standard of proof for these petitions for reinstatement is on you to show by clear and convincing evidence that it would be safe to allow you to return to the field in practice. Is there anything or any other information that you would like to provide to the board today in support of your request to be reinstated?
So far, me and my wife are back together, and we've learned how to correct our mistakes. And I have been away from work for a year, and I've been able to spend a lot of time working on myself. And again, it's the only livelihood I've known how to. I don't know any other type of work out there that I could do. I've been doing pest control for since I got out of the military, which was 1989, and I've been running my own business since 1998, and it's the only bread and butter I need to know. And with 3 kids, it's something that I really would love to get back to and be good at it again.
You mentioned earlier in your testimony that for a period your children were taken away from or out of your home.
Yes, sir.
And you were doing some drug testing?
Yes, sir.
When they returned?
Yes.
Okay. Do you still, are you still required to do that testing?
The testing is actually going to end on the 22nd of October. We already have the children, and the case is closed on October 22nd, which is this coming Monday.
All right. And those tests have all been clean, I assume?
Yes, sir. They've all been clean for a whole year. And
on your list of priorities, how high would you place the need to maintain your sobriety?
Very high. I wasn't really, even when I was, I would say straight, I wasn't a drinker that actually went on a binge drinking. I did not drink on a daily basis. It's just my problem. When I had problems, I turned into alcohol while I was away from home and hanging out with the wrong people and all that. But I did not consume alcohol on a daily basis. So when it comes to sobriety, it's on top of my list since it's really nothing that I enjoy on a daily basis or anything like that.
And would you say that you use alcohol as a means to self-medicate regarding your health issues?
Now that I realize it doesn't help me in any way, I probably, it was a wrong thing to take, to self-medicate with it back then.
Those are the questions that I have, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the board members, starting with Mr. Duran?
Thank you, Your Honor, I do have. Mr. Gaviola,
Yes, sir.
thank you for your service in the military.
Thank you, sir.
Your license actually was revoked on August the 23rd of 2017. Did I understand that for 5 years you were on the street?
No, sir. I actually didn't work for 1 year, but the question, it says 5 years, have you done any work? What did you do for the last 5 years? I was only out of pest control since August, so I wasn't unemployed for 5 years. That's what I trying to explain.
So you were active in the pest control?
I was active in the pest control industry all the way to August.
Did you return your certificates back to the Special
Yes, sir,
Pest
I
Board?
did. I did. I mailed everything back.
Yes, you were certified. Okay, on back of the page that you signed, that states guidelines for petition of reinstatement. On the back page, there's 6 items.
And you're referring to Exhibit 1, the main package that you were provided for?
That is correct, Your Honor. The first one, it's efforts to maintain and to upgrade professional skills and knowledge through continued education courses. You were asked that question. You have done not anything as far as the pest control continued education courses? You haven't taken any?
The last time I did that was to renew my license
Right,
back in 2016.
okay.
I think it's every 3 years, so.
So you did the 16 hours as required?
Yes, sir, I always do,
Okay.
yeah, prior to renewing, getting it reinstated.
Right, that's one of the mandatory requirements
Yes, sir.
from the Structural Pest Control Board.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Spencer?
No.
Mr. Tamayo?
No, I don't have any questions.
Mr. Good?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Caviola.
Good morning, sir.
Curtis Good here. Did I hear you earlier when you testified that you were working for yourself for quite some time, right?
Yes,
As an
sir.
operator.
Yes, sir.
And did you kind of testify earlier that you worked as a good operator and didn't have any issues?
Yes, I did not have any issues with my customers when it came to, because it seems, the record that I have, it seems pretty intense, but, you know, when it came to my relationship, when it came to my customers, I never had any issues that involved any type of slandering or anything that would make me unfit for working, is what I meant.
Okay. Do you recall your license history with the Structural Pest Control Board of your licenses being suspended in the past?
No, it hasn't been suspended prior to.
You don't recall being suspended due to insurance and bond issues?
Oh, yes, but usually I would take that right away. I think those times has fallen on the times that I wasn't working and I was running into some problems. Because my record stems, for a while there, it was every 2 years we were having problem, me and my wife. So I think those just happened to end up on the time where I wasn't working, and then it would expire. But I would quickly, before I even go out and do any pest control work, whatever I needed to get back on the road again, I usually get all my license straightened away.
Yeah, I can see your history that you did get it renewed. So you understand the importance of having insurance?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very much so.
And a bond?
Yes, sir. Very much so.
Do you recall back in January 2016 getting a county violation for within LA County
I probably did, January 2016. Yeah, that was one of the times that I was having a few problems.
Okay, that one was for not filing monthly use reports.
Yes, yes, sir.
You recall that?
Yeah, that was one of the times that I wasn't myself, I would say.
Were you out of business at the time?
I was probably out of business at the time. Yeah.
Okay, a curious question I have, if you plan to operate for yourself, because you testify very truthfully that it would be probably very difficult for an employer to employ you with your driving history.
Yes.
How do you intend on to drive and get to and from your appointments?
As a matter of fact, I'm driving now. I have an SR22. It's just very expensive to be licensed. But I'm still, I'm still licensed to drive.
Okay, to and from for work purposes.
Actually, on January, I can only drive a car with a device that detects alcohol in it to get the car started. But come January, it'll be taken out and I'll be fully licensed to drive. But again, insurance is just very high to be able to drive.
Got it. No further questions.
Appreciate it, sir.
Any questions, Ms. Brenner?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any follow-up questions, Mr. McDonough?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So, Mr. Gabriella, based upon the questions asked to you, do you have any additional information that you'd like to provide to the board?
I just want to ask the board again to be lenient on me, and again, it's the only bread, since the military, it's the only bread and butter I've known to do, and it's my only livelihood. And having 3 kids, I don't want to, they're all straight A's, and I want to make sure I keep, I'll be able to help them get a good education, better than what I did. So, I would ask the board again to help me get my license back.
All right, thank you very much. Then, at this time, this concludes the petition hearing in this matter. The record is closed, and the matter will be submitted, as I explained earlier, after our second petition today. The board will go into a closed session. You should receive your final decision from the board within approximately 100 days.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
We're off the record.
Hold on 1 second, sir.
Oh.
I need to give you this.
Mr. Gabriella, the court reporter has a document to provide you in case you ever in the future want to get a copy of today's proceeding. That will tell you how to go about contacting for that information. Does anyone want to take a 5-minute break before we go into the next petition?
Sure. Would you like to?
I don't, I mean.
We good?
Yeah, let's,
I'd like to take a short break.
Okay.
we'll take a 5-minute break and return for the second petition. Here this afternoon in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of revoked operator's license number 10969, filed by Hector Olivaria Jr. And this is agency case 2016-4, Office of Administrative Hearings case 2018-090-583. Today is Tuesday, October the 16th, 2018. It's approximately 1:20 p.m. My name is Marilyn Woolard. I'm the administrative law judge assigned to assist the board in this matter. And may I ask the board members to state their appearances for the record, if we could begin with Mr. Duran.
Mike Duran, industry member.
Darren Van Steenwick, industry member.
Dave Tomorrow, public member.
Curtis Good, industry.
Rhonda Brand Jochi.
And there is a quorum of the board present here today. May I have the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General?
Yes, Your Honor. Tim McDonough, Deputy Attorney General, appearing on behalf of the people of the state of California pursuant to Government Code 11522.
And Mr. Olivaria, you are here today representing yourself, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You do understand you have a right to be represented by counsel at your own expense?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. And I know you sat through the previous petition and heard the matter, but just to briefly review, in this matter, the board is primarily concerned with your rehabilitative efforts since the time your license was revoked. It's important to remember that this is not a forum in which to challenge the merits of any criminal convictions or to challenge the findings and conclusions of the decision which revoked your license, that decision and those convictions are final. The focus, again, will be on what you have done since that date to change practices to ensure that it would be safe to grant your petition. And the burden of proof is on you to establish that by what's considered to be clear and convincing evidence. So how we're going to proceed today is Mr. McDonough, the Deputy Attorney General, will proceed to provide us with an overview of the situation. After that, I'll place you under oath and you'll have an opportunity to directly address the board and explain your circumstances and what you believe you've done and why your petition should be granted. When you've said what you believe is important to relay to the board, we'll then open it up for questioning by the Deputy Attorney General and by the board members. When all that's concluded, I'll give you an opportunity if you have some additional thoughts and you'd like to add some testimony at that time. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I believe we did speak off the record and you advised that you didn't bring any additional documents today.
No, ma'am.
And you do have a right also to call additional witnesses. Did you bring any additional witnesses today?
No, ma'am.
All right, okay. So with that understanding, let's go ahead and begin. Mr. McDonough, if you would provide us with your overview and orientation.
Yes, Your Honor, I would first like to mark for identification and mark into evidence as Exhibit 1 the original petition packet with accompanying documents. The board members and petitioner have been provided with a copy of these, of this exhibit.
Thank you. And so marked as Exhibit 1, and that has been provided to the petitioner. Mr. Olivaria, do you have any objection to the consideration of the documents in Exhibit 1?
No, ma'am.
All right, Exhibit 1 is admitted.
Your Honor, I briefly will explain the documents from the Exhibit 1, which contains correspondence from the board with the petitioner regarding today's hearing and the petition for reinstatement, including the guidelines for petitions for reinstatement or reduction of penalty. There is the petition for reinstatement of operator's license number OPR 10969 in branch 2 submitted by petitioner, as well as a petition for reinstatement of revoked license declaration, which is signed and dated August 27th, 2018. And that's from petitioner, and in this document, petitioner discloses that he has been convicted of a criminal offense. There is a request for live scan service from the petitioner, which was completed on August 27, 2018. Then the letter and default decision and order in case number 2016-4 regarding the accusation against Hector Olivaria and Laverne Pest Control Incorporated, which has an effective date of September 15th, 2016. Also included in those documents is the accusation for the accusation number 2016-4, and the default decision revoked petitioner's operator's license and his company registration. Also included is the notice of defense and notice of hearing for accusation number 2016-4. There is a certification of prosecution costs indicating that the cost recovery for the investigation and enforcement relating to accusation number 2016-4 was $1,765. There are criminal court documents from the Los Angeles County Superior Court which show that petitioner was convicted of violating Penal Code Section 415, subpart 1, a misdemeanor of fighting in public on April 17, 2017, where petitioner was placed on probation for 12 months and must complete an anger management program. There is a license history for Laverne Pest Control Incorporated, company registration number PR 4675. That was originally issued on February 3rd, 2005. There is a license history for petitioner's operator's license number OPR 10969, which was initially issued in branch 2 to petitioner on September 22nd, 2004, and was revoked pursuant to accusation number 2016-4 on September 15th, 2016. There's also the license history for petitioner's field representative license, which was canceled on September 22nd, 2004 due to the issuance of the operator's license. And then there is a license history for petitioner's applicator's license, which was canceled on July 19th, 1998 due to non-renewal. Your Honor, at this time, ask the deputy, that I believe you have entered that into.
Yes, Exhibit 1 has been admitted.
Thank you. I would just provide a summary of the case. The board issued petitioner operator's license number OPR 10969 in branch 2 on September 22nd, 2004. On July 13th, 2015, accusation number 2016-4 was filed against petitioner's operator's license and his company registration. Accusation 2016-4 alleged 2 causes for discipline, the first being for failure to provide proof of continuing education in violation of Business and Professions Code, Section 8641, 8593, and California Code of Regulations, Title 16, Section 1950, Subdivision A, and that alleges that petitioner failed to provide the board with verifiable documentation to demonstrate that he completed all the courses of continuing education requirements as a condition of renewal of his operator's license. Specifically, petitioner failed to produce copies documenting completion of 16 hours of continuing education for the renewal period of July 1st, 2010 through June 30th, 2013, as requested by the board's representative. The second cause for discipline alleges a misrepresentation of a material fact in violation of Business and Professions Code, Section 8637, alleging that on or about September 23rd, 2013, the petitioner misrepresented to the board that he had completed 16 hours of continuing education coursework in his license renewal application and failed to submit proof of completion of hours to fulfill the board's continuing education requirements as a condition of renewal of his license. On September 15, 2016, the default decision and order rendered for accusation number 2016-4 revoked petitioner's operator's license number 10969 and company registration number 4675. The decision also ordered that petitioner pay the board's costs of the investigation and prosecution of the matter in the amount of $1,765. Your Honor, that concludes my presentation of the documentary evidence and the case history. I obviously will be prepared to proceed with questionings at the appropriate time.
All right, thank you. Mr. Oliverio, may I please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth and the whole truth?
Yes.
All right. This is your opportunity to address the board about your petition.
Oh, okay.
And let us know when you feel like you have accomplished it.
Okay, I'd like to rephrase one of the, I guess, wording that Mr. McDonald used. It was for disturbing the peace. I was for misdemeanor. So when somebody says fighting, people think fists. So I don't want anybody to ever think that, because that was not the case. It was just arguing, I guess, with a loud tone, and that's what it was. So it wasn't physically fighting. So, you know, I just wanted to rephrase that.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
So I understand you filed the petition and the board members have had an opportunity to read and review that, but this would be your chance to explain to them why you believe your petition should be granted.
Well, I'm gonna be honest, I mean, when I was first issued my operator's license, I followed every rule. You know, with the ag department, with, you know, during inspections, you know, I always had everything ready. And, but in between 2013, 2016, I was having marital problems. And, you know, when they did send the letter and, you know, I did fill it out and, you know, sent it back to renew my license. After that, when I was getting letters and all, well, I didn't receive any letters, I was not allowed to go to my house. So I can provide proof of documentation, and during that time, a lot of my belongings were thrown away. So, you know, so I didn't even know I had a court date back then, because I was not the one receiving the letters were going to my home and I was staying with my parents. So, because there was a restraining order. And, you know, when it was all said and done, the court date had passed. And during that time, when it was a court date, I was already living in Texas. And so I just came back to California a few months ago. And, you know, I did have the packet that was mailed after the decision. And, you know, that's when I decided, because, I mean, I did work for Z Medical, then Z Medical was bought out by Cintas. So I had left Cintas, you know, because they promised us the world and nothing happened. So everybody from Z Medical left Cintas, because pretty much a lie what they told us what we were gonna get paid. So I left them in March of 2016, and then that's when I went to Texas and worked for Green Guard, First Aid and Safety. So really, when I started with Z Medical, that was in 2014. So I hadn't even done pest control, you know, during that time. So between the time that, you know, but I always wanted to keep my license up, so if I ever did decide to, you know, do it again, you know, I at least had that as, you know, how do you say, a crutch, you know, so if it didn't work out in the first aid and safety business. So now I'm back, and I haven't, you know, worked since I've been back, so, and,
Is there anything else you'd like to provide, or would it be more comfortable for you to respond to questions?
yes, that would probably be easier, I mean, because
I
then it's
understand.
easier to answer, just to come up with stuff in your head. I mean, like I said, I mean, that's the truth. I was going through marital problems. My life was turned upside down. I couldn't see my kids for a few months, and, you know, it's, you know, especially when you can't go home and, you know, and you're getting letters just to say, hey, send this proof to us. Well, I can't even go to my house to get anything to send proof to the board, you know? And to find out when, you know, it was all said and done, and then I was able to see my kids and go to the house, gonna find out half my stuff was gone, you know? So that's where we're at now, we're here.
Okay, so let me ask Mr. McDonough if you have some questions for petitioner.
Yes, briefly. With regards to your conviction, you indicated that it was a misdemeanor for disturbing the peace. It appears from the court documents that we obtained that it was, you violated Penal Code Section 415, Subpart 1, which that subpart deals with fighting in public. There is another subpart of 415 that deals with loud and disturbing noises. So I just wanted to kind of point that out from the documents. And I guess just ask you, what were the circumstances behind being arrested or your ultimate conviction for either disturbing the peace or fighting in public?
What happened was you know, we had filed for divorce, and during that time, it was like a refusal to sign the divorce papers. And so that's what, nothing was outside. I mean, that's why when I say disturbing the peace, you know, you're inside your home, being closed doors, if you can't live, or do things behind closed doors, it's like, where's my privacy? So that's the only thing it was, but the circumstance, what led to the arrest was, because when I was talking to my wife, I did hold her hand, and I said, sit down. And that's all in the police report, which says, my husband held my hand and just asked me to sit down and let's talk. Well, the officer took it as I touched her without her saying okay. So they arrested me and I was gone. They didn't even know I was gone. And my wife had asked, where's my husband? And they said, well, we took him for battery. She goes, but he didn't do anything to me. And it states, like I said, it states that in the police report. And so she was even surprised that they even took me. So from then on, they got a protective order, they did all this and that for nothing. My wife even went to court and told the judge that my husband never touched me. We were just arguing. And when he told her, no, we're gonna get a protective order, you can't see him, you can't be around the kids, and she told him, no, I don't want that. But the judge said, it's not up to you. We're doing it for your safety. And like I said, the only reason why, my kids were scared because they've never seen me raise my voice like that. I don't spank my kids, I've never touched my wife, and it was just all blown out of proportion. And so that's what led to it. Of course, there's good cops, there's bad cops, but there's cops that lie. I have friends who are cops, they're chiefs of police, but it just happened, it's just like something unfortunate happened, and, I regret it every day, and, but I did everything. When the judge ordered me, okay, you gotta take anger management, it has to be done. I finished it in one day. Submitted it within the week of my conviction. I submitted everything. So I'm a person that when I need to get something done, I do it right away. I don't know, just like Ms. Roberts, Melissa, when I called her and she submitted me that packet, I got her everything within the first few days. Because I wanted to be here because, like the last gentleman said, this is our livelihood. We don't know nothing else. I'm also a veteran. I was just diagnosed at the VA. I have severe arthritis in my neck, my legs. I can't crawl under houses. I can't go in attics anymore. The only reason I'm doing this because, I'm applying for a position, for pest control with the Department of Corrections. Other than first aid, Cintas, rules the market, so there's really no first aid companies to go to. So pest control is all I know. This is all I've done since 1994. And it's like to say, hey, go do something else. I can't. I got to bring in an income too. I haven't worked in a year. I can't even provide for my kids, and it's like embarrassing. And like I said, I'm not asking for pity. I'm not asking, for anything, but this is all I know. And like, if I could have submitted those documents to show proof, I would have showed the proof. Because I was always taking classes at Univar, at Target Pest Control, whenever they offered those free classes, I was there. I worked for myself, by myself, and, I had a successful business, and, unfortunately, in December, I had to sell my truck. So, it's not like I want to go back and do pest control on my own. I just needed to move forward with the Department of Corrections to, have a position as, a pest control tech.
Okay, I think you mentioned, but did you successfully complete the terms of your criminal probation?
I completed everything, and a matter of fact, they wanted to do it today, but I gotta go next Tuesday, with the, cause even, the district attorney that day, he even told me, he looked at the police report, he looked at everything, he goes, why are you even here? He goes, you didn't do nothing wrong, but he goes, my boss is not gonna just let me throw everything out, so I at least gotta give you something. So they give me the disturbing the peace. And, they said, we're gonna put you on a year probation. Even the judge said, I'll be happy to sign, expunge it, after the year. But, the public defender's office is so backed up, I couldn't get an appointment till I have it next Tuesday with the public defender to fill out all the paperwork to get my record expunged.
Okay. And did you complete your anger management in Texas?
Yes, because everything, the conviction was on April of last year. And so because I had flown in for my dad's birthday party, and then when I flew back, as soon as I flew back, I was on that computer, completed in a day. I stood up all night to complete the 20 hours, or whatever it was they told me I needed to do. And then I filed it with the court.
Okay. Are there any other current criminal charges pending against you in this state or any other jurisdiction?
No.
So it's your testimony that you in fact did complete 16 hours of continuing education for the July 1st, 2010 through June 30th, 2013 period.
Yes.
Okay, but your certificates weren't available to you.
No, they were not.
Okay, why did you not merely contact the providers and get a copy, a duplicate copy of the certificates to submit to?
Because I did them with so many different people, I didn't know who the providers were at that time.
You couldn't remember who you
No.
took classes with?
No.
Did you attempt to, when you were contacted for the audit, to then just do 16 more hours?
No, I did contact the board, but I was never told to do 16 more hours. They just said, we need the proof that you did complete those 16 hours of coursework.
Okay. All right, and
Excuse me to interrupt you, but then I also felt at the time, well, if I did them after the fact, how's that gonna count? It's gonna count for the new, the 3 years, not the previous, because the time had already lapsed.
and you even today can't locate these certificates?
No. Everything, like I said, during that time, it's like, I'm not a woman, so I don't know how it is, but maybe it's like a reminder of me, they didn't want no reminder of me, so it was like, just get rid of everything.
Why did you not appear for your hearing on accusation number 2016-4?
Because I did not know I had a hearing. Like I said, there was a restraining order. I was not getting any of my mail.
And you've indicated in your petition for reinstatement that over the last 5 years you have worked for a medical company selling first aid supplies?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you been doing any other work besides that?
No.
No, okay.
Free
And-
work for my family.
Free work, okay. And you indicated you're not working now.
No, sir.
Since your license was revoked, have you taken any classes or training to keep yourself knowledgeable regarding advances in technology in the structural pest control field?
Not lately, because like I said, I haven't worked, so I can't pay for it. And, but I always try to keep myself up to date. I'm one of those ones, I know a lot of people don't do it, but I did do it. And not that I probably did it 100% of the time, but I always try, just like they say, read the label, read this, read that. I always read. And if I was one of those ones, I work harder. I work smarter, not harder. You know, if I could make my job easier by the latest, tip for, you know, an aerosol can, or, you know, the best B&G, or, a fogger, you know, backpack fogger, you know, so like I said, to make all my jobs easier, I would do that. So I was always up to date on, like I said, technology, or, you know, so always trying to, like I said, work smarter, not harder.
All right. The accusation alleged the misrepresentation on the renewal application. Why do you think the Structural Pest Control Board is concerned with honesty and integrity in its licensees?
Well, I mean, of course, they want somebody to be honest, you know, but they also want somebody to be knowledgeable, you know, on like you say, the latest laws, I mean, so, you know, things change, you know, for instance, like, Cyper, you know, it was a wettable powder. Well, now it's no longer, it's in soluble packets now. Well, I mean, you gotta be knowledgeable about that stuff, because if you still keep on using something that is no longer allowed to be used, then you're obviously not, you know, educating yourself on, you know, up-to-date laws and things like that. They just want us to be updated and knowledgeable. And they don't want you to go out there and, you know, make a mistake and hurt someone, and, you know, because, you know, I mean, you know, even though half these, half our supplies now are pretty much watered down, you know, it's not like it used to be. You know, using DDT and all that, you know, back in the day, I mean, you know, but now it's like they're trying to make products safe for people, you know, so people don't get cancer and, you know, or sick, or, you know, but, you know, they just want us, like I said, just want us to be knowledgeable and updated on latest laws, you know.
And as I understand, your plans, should the board decide to reinstate your operator's licenses, to work for the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation?
Yes. Like I said, because when I went there, I mean, at first I thought, okay, somebody's gonna, you know, qualify you or something, because I know I didn't have it. But then when I got to the job fair, they're like, no, you gotta have, you know, a field rep license. I'm like, okay, but I have my operator's license, which is above a field rep. They go, no, you gotta have a field rep. I kept on so I told them, I explained to them what an operator's license was, and they said, oh, okay. So then after that, because I was even asking, like, the Department of Corrections, well, does the person who's supervising us have the proper license to be a supervisor? Or does, you know, the field rep, you know, can they buy, you know, supplies? Could just go down to, you know, Univar or Target Pest Control and buy supplies. You know, so I'm one of those ones I ask a lot of questions, because I want to do things right, and I want to, you know, follow the way things are supposed to be.
So you mentioned are you going to be able to potentially get the job if you had your operator's license?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
They said they understood after that, you know, because I also met a panel of three interviewers, and they said, no, they didn't know what they were talking about, you're fine. So, they just said it has to be, you know, be active.
Would you be willing, if your petition for reinstatement is granted, to take the current examination for an operator's license and pass that exam as a condition before returning to the practice of structural pest control?
I guess if I had to, I have to. You know, I mean, it'd probably be hard, because, you know, I was always, not that this matters, but growing up, I wasn't a great test taker, you know, but, I mean, I could do stuff, you know, back, you know, growing up, they called it OJT, you know, on-the-job training. You learned as you went, you know, so, I mean, I'd probably just have to cram and study and, you know, but, yes, I would take it again.
I guess I would ask that, or point out that, the burden of proof in this hearing is on you to prove that it would be safe to license you or relicense you again, and to prove it by clear and convincing evidence. And keeping that in mind, is there any other information or anything else you'd like to say to the board in support of your request to be reinstated?
I mean, I don't think I'm a, I don't know what's the word I want to use. Not hazard, but I'm not a, geez, I'm sorry, I can't even think. I guess if I did something wrong, made a bad application or anything like that, I would understand, why you would have doubts if I was, an unsafe, operator. But that's not the case. I mean, I know it's, that it is a serious matter to, show proof of continuing education and all that. But I don't think, I'm a risk, of, to give my, to, be reinstated with my operator's license. I understand what I did was, a violation, but I've always took safety as a high priority, especially around my customers. I mean, there's customers sometimes that don't want to, leave a room while you're applying, or spraying, for ants or wasps or whatever it is. I would make sure nobody was within my general area. If they did, then I'd stop spraying and say, I cannot continue until you, are out of the area. So I am a safe worker, and I know if I'm reinstated that, I would make sure, to this time, at least take a picture with my phone, because I mean, I take a picture, everything's on my phone, Social Security number, I mean, driver's licenses, so if I ever released, at least I have proof that I have a driver's license. So, I've learned, my lesson pretty much, and, I do apologize for wasting the board's time, and, we shouldn't even have to be here today, but, things happen, nobody's perfect, and, all I can say is I'm sorry, and, that's it.
Those are the questions I have, Your
All
Honor.
right. Any questions from board members, beginning with Mr. Duran?
I have one. Mr. Averia, when you sign the application for continued education, on the back it says that when you sign it, it says under perjury, and that's one of the reasons that we're really concerned. If you had the 16 hours of a continued education hours, it all would have been fine, and as far as that part's concerned. The number two, I have a little concern. There's two addresses that are listed for you. One is on Baldwin Avenue in El Monte. Was that your residence or was that your office?
I've never lived on Baldwin Avenue in El Monte?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. No,
And
I apologize. That was, I was the qualified manager for a company, Pest Control. So that address was listed as a place of where I was a qualified manager. And what other address?
The other one is Laverne Pest Control Incorporated at 1238 is it Briarcliff?
Yes, sir. That is, I run my home-based business.
And I am to understand that you never received any mail at those addresses there?
No, well, I haven't been a qualified manager of ACAL since 2012, 2011, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then that place was sold because the railroad was expanding the railroad track, so they bought out that property. So that address on Baldwin no longer exists. And then my home at 1238, I could not go back, I had a restraining order. So I couldn't go to that address and receive anything. And there was no communication between me or myself or my wife. So It's not that I'm saying I didn't get the mail, I'm saying I don't know if I got it or not because I wasn't allowed to go there.
But you are aware that one of the rules and regulations that you should notify the Structural Pest Control Board of any change of address?
Yes.
Okay.
But like I said too, I mean, it was a mistake because at that time, I wasn't even doing pest control anymore. I started working for Z Medical in 2014. And, you know, I was just concentrating on that. And then when my marriage went, you know, bad, you know, I mean, I guess everything else
Yeah,
just wasn't important, you know. It was trying to get, you know, be able to see my kids again, you know, be able to repair my marriage, and, you know, so like I said, I apologize, I did make a mistake, and, you know, you're right about me doing the change of address, but I just didn't think about it at that time.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah, I just have a quick, this is Darren Minsteinwick. I have a quick question for you. How does Mike Green's pest control and series fit into all of this? Fit into your history?
I also was a qualified manager for that pest control company.
How often did you make it up to series?
At least once a month.
Okay.
So it wasn't, I used to be stationed at Castle Air Force Base in Atwater, so that drive is nothing. Like I was explaining to Mr. McDonald, even last night I left the Dodger game, drove straight 6 hours, and it's nothing. You know, I wasn't tired, nothing. I just got here at 3:30 and good to go. So, like I said, that little 4-hour drive was nothing. So I made it, you know. And if I didn't drive, I'd fly in, and the owner at the time would pick me up from the airport, and then we'd go over paperwork and things like that.
Okay, and when you were having an issue getting any of your mail, did you ever think to try to use, you know, your buddy in series to try and
I was at that time I was no longer the qualified manager of that company.
And I just, excuse me, the people are talking over each other, it's difficult to understand, it's difficult for the court reporter. You cut off his question, if you would wait until the full question and wait till the answer.
Okay, I apologize.
Okay, so did you guys have a falling out then, and so you were no longer?
No falling out. He just decided to close his business.
Oh, he did.
Yes. So.
Okay. No further questions.
Thank you. Mr.
Another
Tamayo?
question. I don't know how to do this. Hi. There's all these different places where you could have possibly gotten mail, and it was a real problem for you from what you were telling me, or telling us. So my question to you is, did you ever think about going to the post office and telling them that you had a change of address? And could they work with you, and this is where you're going to get your mail now? And they would reroute it to you. That's pretty logical.
No, you know, ma'am, I don't know if you ever been through marital problems or what I've been through.
Actually, I have.
You know, but, you know, everybody's different. You know, we're not all gonna react the same. We're not all gonna think about the same things. I mean, you know, at that time, like I said, I couldn't see my kids for 6 months. You know, and that was the most important thing to me. You know, the mail wasn't important to me. My family was important to me. You know, like I said, I understand the severity of everything. I mean, it's said and done. We could have said, you know, you could have did this, you could have did that. Yeah, I could have. But at that time, I wasn't thinking about that. You know? It's like I said, my kids are my world. And with not seeing them, you know, that was the hardest thing for me ever. You know? And it's like I said, I mean, I regret it every day, but I can't change what I did. All I could do is move forward and do the thing, you know, reflect what I did wrong and correct those mistakes. That's all I could do.
Very true.
So Tamayo, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Mr. Good?
Yes, I have one. Back to your renewal period, that June of 2013, you remember that form you had to sign and Mr. Duran referred to where you signed under penalty of perjury?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you signed on there was 16 hours?
Yes, sir.
If you didn't have your records, how do you know you didn't complete 18 hours or you didn't complete 20 hours? How did you put 16?
Well, because it says 16, you mark the box.
But you're supposed to review your records and accurately go through your records and then write down that you've taken all the classes, because it's more than just 16 hours. You have to make sure you get all the categories completed.
No, I understand that.
So,
And I knew I completed the 16 hours, but it didn't ask me if I completed, 30 hours. I just checked the appropriate boxes. Yes, I completed all these, because I believe it's, I haven't seen it in a while, but 4, 4, and 4, And like I said, I marked it, I knew I had the hours done.
okay, you're an operator. You're supposed to know these. You're supposed to know that form and what it means to sign under penalty and perjury. That's the exam you took.
And I understand that, sir, and I did answer honestly.
You did have the option. You should have contacted all the people you took possibly classes with, and this could have gone away.
And I
They
understand
maintain those records.
that. And I understand that, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Any additional questions from the board? Okay. Mr. McDonough?
I feel just the need to point one thing out for the court, or question, I guess. With regards to that renewal application, you indicated that that the form says 16 hours.
Mhm.
But would you agree with me that, in fact, the renewal application form for the operator says I have completed, and then there is a blank line for you to fill in the number of hours of continuing education as required for renewal of my license?
Yeah, I haven't even seen it in a while, sir, and I'm answering honestly that I don't even remember.
Okay. If I could pass you a document here and just ask you to look at that.
And could you state for the record the documents you
Yes,
passed?
Your Honor, I passed him a copy of the renewal form for the period in question for the operator's license.
And is that document contained in Exhibit 1?
No, it is not, Your Honor.
What I'd like to do then is to mark that
Sure.
separately, after he's had an
Okay.
opportunity to review it.
Okay, do you dispute that, in fact, you need to put in the number of hours you
Yeah.
completed? Okay.
That's what I'm saying, I haven't seen it in a while, I forgot, I thought it was, I'm sorry, no, I just drew a blank, but, it says how it's, what was I trying to say? How it says like how many hours of each, course you gotta do, that's what it is.
Okay, I'm going to just pass this.
All right, and what I'd like to do is retain that for the file and mark that as Exhibit 3.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Any objection to
No.
Exhibit 3? All right, Exhibit 3 is admitted. Yes.
I have one comment, not questions on.
Sure.
So I'd like to clarify, I'm very sorry that you're here today and going before all this. I do find it very frustrating, and I hate to see somebody in your position of what you're going through. But it is, as an operator, your responsibility. But from a board's perspective, I hate this formality of this and everything you're going through today. So I apologize for what you're going through, but it is the system we have in place. So thank you for your patience and everything you're going through, and I wish you well.
No, thank you for understanding, but like I said, it was my mistake, and like I said, I apologize to you guys for even being here, because we shouldn't even be here. I shouldn't have put myself in that situation to even cause all this. I disrupted my family's livelihood, and, my kids. You know, I apologize. To this day, my kids have still not gotten over it. My 13-year-old suffers from anxiety now. And to see them go through that hurts me. You know, I apologize. I'm the one who's supposed to be the provider of my home, and I can't even do that. You know, and if I could take it all back, I would, but I can't. I gotta live with this every day. You know, for one dumb mistake, you know, we're all here. You know, we shouldn't be. You know? I just want to make things right and move forward. You know? A lot of times I can't even talk about it because I do get emotional. You know, and moving to Texas was probably the best thing, you know, I could have ever done. But as soon as we moved back, all the memories were there. And we're at the same, you know, we learned from the first mistakes how to deal with it, but we're back at the same point, but we gotta move forward for our kids. And, you know, if, you know, say this time I do get divorced, I'm gonna have to provide for my kids, and without this license, I can't. You know, I'm gonna be 48 in 2 weeks. You know, I can't just go and jump into, you know, go work construction or something like that. My body's beat up. You know, I played football 12 years, baseball 12 years, wrestled. You know, I was in the military for 9 years. You know, I beat myself up. You know, and sometimes I think, was it all worth it? You know, this is all I had. Best thing I ever had. And I ruined it. Now I just want to make things right. You know, like I said, I thank you all for your time, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that, you know, I mean, I know you're not here just because of me, but, you know, you could have just had one case and you could have all went home or went about your day already. I shouldn't be here. But once again, I thank you.
Any additional questions? Mr. Trump?
Your Honor, I just have a recommendation. Before you leave today, maybe we can give you an updated version of the manual for the Structural Pest Control Board rules and regulations.
I think I have these, correct, sir?
Yeah, I get it.
Oh, you gave one?
I get it.
Okay, perfect. Look at that, and that will help you out in any decision that you have to make pertaining to the Structural Pest Control Board.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Great.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything further?
Nothing, Your Honor.
All right, so then at this time, we're going to go off the record. As I discussed earlier, the matter will be submitted to the board. You won't receive a decision today, you will receive it in the mail. And so then the record will go off the record. And we'll now go into closed session, and I'd ask anyone not board related to leave the room. And sir, the court reporter does have a document
Okay.
for you that will tell you about how to get a copy of this hearing if you would like to do that in the future.
Okay,
Thank you very much.